In my most enjoyable recurring dream, I venture through an old house with a staircase, a loft and a cellar. I usually end up in the loft and find a secret door. When I open that door, there's a whole new level with rooms and windows and patios that I can convert into my art studio. Yes, I need a whole house for all my hobbies, yay, but I make do with what I have. We've heard the saying many a time. It's not about what you have, but what you make with what you have. Be it an immaculate mansion with all the luxuries and stuff one can wish for, or be it a humble, not perfect abode where you toil through every day, barely able to think you have to put yourself on repeat with a mop and broom in 2 days' time. That's not what life is about anyway. It's about what you do in that dwelling, when it's only you and your family. Do you practice and teach compassion towards yourself and your family? Or do you judge, criticize, moan, and complain all the time? I must confess, I have my moments. We're not perfect. Focus, Mom, focus. I've had a fascination with small houses since I can remember, and have been gifted small houses many a time. From the Netherlands, my grandma and a friend gave me biscuits in a tin house. When this wooden houses phenomena took flight, I was so happy to receive these as a gift from a dear friend. That's where the inspiration comes from. In today's lesson, we're going to create little houses of compassion, small havens of comfort and glory, where you can lock up all your fears and heartaches and celebrate your joys and blessings. Again, be mindful about the process and not so much about the outcome. As many of you won't have access to a little wooden house, the lesson will be done side by side on cereal cartons, easy to acquire. Good morning. I'm very excited to present this class to you. Wooden houses, it's one of my favorite projects because you can never stop. You embellish and you embellish and you carry on. In preparation for this class, I did this little one, and it's got 4 sides that you can decorate, and if I thought about it, I can still add some stuff. I've had my husband cut for me wooden houses from Scrapworx lying around. I sanded down 2 of them for the project, and the other 2 I left as is. They're a little bit rough, but nice textures. I'm going to cover these 2 with a layer of gesso and dry it with my heating tool, and then we carry on. So I'm putting gesso on my lovely Tim Holtz board again, and I'm using a sponge. This gesso acts kind of as a polyfiller for the very uneven edges, and it prepares for media to stick to it. Sometimes when you paint on wood, you don't get the color that you intended, or the paint is shining through, or it goes into the wood. So if you cover your little house with a layer of gesso, it's like working on a piece of art paper. That helps a lot. You don't have to do this, but I do it. If you can see there, I'm gonna fill that gap with gesso. And also here on the slant of the roof, just like that. I'll do the second one off camera and let it dry. Now the next step we're going to do is we're going to write some messages on this houses, because we're going to art all over them. Some of it might shine through, some of it might not, but we have to bless these houses with compassion in writing down what is going on in our soul. I found this quotation by Jeff Brown, compassion, it's not just a word, it's a way of being. It's not just a concept, it's love in action. I'm going to write that on my big The colors I've chosen are teal and grey. I'm going to do the little church in grey and the big house in teal. I used the same sponge that I used for the gesso, so that we can get that little bit of gesso that's left in the sponge onto the house. I was luckier with the grey. My scribblings shine through, which I'm happy about, and using the same sponge, my teal color also appeared, but I don't mind that. It's a nice effect. I've dried it with my heating tool. Now we're ready to carry on. Now I'm at this part again of this adventure where I must choose which page is going to be cut up. Benisha, I just want to ask you, next time when Scrapworx launch a new design pack, please print me one that's one-sided, because I am dying every time if I have to cut up a page and lose the other side. I don't know how you scrapbookers feel about that, but maybe it gets better over time, but for me to cut that out and lose what's at the back is just, it's like murder. But anyway, this paper is so beautiful and so versatile. And what I want to tell you, I don't know if I've never seen this before, that the pages are named. This wording at the bottom is so useful in this project especially. I even used the Scrapworx logo, I used the Live Life in color. So I don't destroy this bottom border of the pages. I use them as well. I'm going to page through quickly and see which ones will have to be sacrificed today. I have decided on this page, it's called Joyful, and this one that's already been cut, it's called Try to be a Rainbow in Someone's Cloud. I think that is what I'm going to work with. But luckily our houses has 4 sides, so I can use both sides of each sheet. So now you get your tools together. That's the craft knife, the ruler and a pencil. I'm going to use this part of the paper. I like this purple and the blue and a little bit of pink. Now I position my wooden house on this piece that I want. Okay, I'm going to go off air again, but I'll just explain to you how I cut it. If you cut directly on your outline that you've drawn now with your pencil, the paper is going to be slightly bigger than your wooden block. So I cut about 1 millimeter inside the pencil line, then they fit perfectly. There I have them. The wording came off when I cut this one, so I'm going to save this wording. We're going to use it on the house. Now we're going to glue them with gel medium onto the house. Doesn't matter which one goes what side, but if you see, if I place it onto the wooden house, now we've got that little edge coming out, which is perfect. If you glue it up to the edge, they tend to be in the way when you work on that side. So keep yourself a little border of wood that's exposed. I've got both my sides glued now. They're almost dry. So while we're waiting for that to dry completely, we're going to paint the roofs. In my opening, I explained to you the story about this secret door that I'm dreaming about, opening up space in my life. I understand that dream. In our daily lives, we've got so many figure of speeches where we use door, open, close one door and two other doors open. We can close that door now. In compassion, compassion is acts, it's not just feelings. So if you act on your compassion, you sometimes open a door for situations that you did not intend to become in. So I'm going to focus on the doors of my houses. We're going to start with that. And for that, I've got craft paper lying next to me. I rediscovered my embossing tools and my embossing powders, and it's so useful. I actually have embossing pens, which makes it very easy. So I'm not going to do too many windows. I'm going to use Scrapworx chipboard cutouts, and I'm going to make doors. So firstly, I'm going to do a door for this house on this side, and on the other side I'm going to use the embossing, and the same with the church. So using my pencil, I'm just scribbling out a door. There I have my little doors. I'm going to cover them in a layer of gesso before I put paint on them, again in preparation. Oh man, now I put the gesso on the wrong side, but it doesn't matter. You just cover them with gesso. It primes the craft paper for your paint and your next steps to take nicely. the gesso and the gel medium. So in the meantime, we were going to work on the door on the other side. I'm going to use this embossed pen. It's a Ranger product, and I'm so glad I have this. If you don't, it makes embossing so much easier. So I'm going to draw a door on this side now, freehand. It shouldn't be too perfect, so you can always fix your drawing if you have to. Now I've got my doors embossed and heat treated, and they are there. I've got other embossing colors, and I'm going to use that to do the stained glass effect. Let's see how that works. I've got a clear pen as well. You get them in a double pack. It's the black and the clear together when you buy them. Again, I think it's Tim Holtz Brain Baby. Let me see how we can get this done. I've got purple. I've added the purple embossing powder onto those panes, and if you can see that window, I did the top and the bottom. I'm going to heat treat that quickly, and then we're going to add green after that. Now I take the clear embossing pen again, and I fill in those areas that I still need to emboss. I'm just waiting for this embossing to cool down a little bit, because if you reheat and reheat, it can burn, and that looks awful. Don't burn your embossing. There we have a stained glass door. I really think it looks nice on this one as well. On the close-up photos you'll maybe see it better. Turn the houses over. The other doors are now nice and dry, and the first step we're going to do is to stamp a pattern onto the unpainted gessoed craft paper door. Don't press too hard. Try not to let it get onto the paper. If you press too hard, it's going to go off the door. There's that nice image. I want to repeat some of it there on top. I'm going to turn my stamp and just lightly same on this side. I want to get that twill we're going to paint over the stamping. I decided this door needs red, so I'm going to do Again with the finger, just a little bit, a tiny bit of paint on your finger. If you feel it's too much, dab it off and lightly. I don't want to cover my stamp. The stamp must still shine through. So you give your door a dry brush look with what color you choose. Again, not solid. That's my style. If your style is to do it solidly, then go for it. And this door, I want to do a light green. This color is called Avo. I'm going to dry that with a heating tool quickly. Take your Posca pen or your permanent marker, whatever brand you have, and now we're going to outline these doors just to give them some definition. While that is drying, we're going to start working on the side of the houses. I got hold of the chipboard cutouts from Scrapworx, and this Live Life in color is just going to fit onto the sides of this house. So I'm going to do Live Life on that side and in color on that side. And whereas with the church, I'm going to do Discover or Journey. I think Journey, because we all have a spiritual journey. I think Journey is going to fit there. So using your scissors, you cut this loose from the stash. I also want to add chipboard cutouts to the sides of the houses where we did the embossed doors. We're going to draw by hand or put words on the other side where the chipboard door is. I've decided that I'm going to do the Live Life in grey and the Journey in turquoise, and for that I'm going to mix paint with gesso. A little bit of gesso on my plate. Little bit of teal color. Next to it, and then I'm gonna pick up gesso and teal, and I'm gonna paint the journey. I don't do this with a sponge because I want to cover the sides. I want to cover it all over, but I don't want the teal and the gesso to mix completely. I want that grainy feel of the white and the color. So just as you paint, touch the edges, the outside edges, can add some more paint where you feel it's too white. Pick it up, put it aside, let it dry. As I had some gesso left on my glass plate, I finished off the heart in red with red and gesso and the star in yellow with gesso and yellow. I heated it, it's now nice and dry. We're going to distress the edges now. I've got this light blue distress ink. I'm going to use that on the grain. You cannot get in everywhere with the letters, but we're trying. Maybe if you cut them loose, but I like that little thingy that keep them together. It's like an umbilical cord. If you cut them loose, you might be able to distress small pieces of the letters, but I don't want to do that. I've now finished the blue distressing. For journey, I want to do a black distress edge. I don't have black distressing ink, so I'm going to break the rules and do it with archival ink, ruining my, but who said one cannot do that? The last thing I want to do to the words before we glue them on with gel medium is I want to repeat this stamping pattern that we put on the doors onto the letters. You can emboss that, it might look very nice, but I don't want to waste some more time on that, and maybe it's overkill. So just stamp this floral pattern onto your letters. And I remembered our strips of paper from last week, so I'm going to use this. I'm feeling adventurous. I think we can use some of our leftovers from the previous project. But now we're going to put gel medium onto the letters and glue them onto the house. Nice and thick. We don't want any part of this to stand up or come loose. You can also use the Tombow glue, but I'm doing gel medium now. Journey doesn't disappear in the background, so I'm not going to put the strip tape. I'm just going to glue it. And now, because that gel medium made me suffer so much, I'm going to use the Tombow. Just apply on all the little beautiful. And I'm using my Tombow. The gesso is already dry if you apply it so thinly. It's there, but it doesn't look like I live my life in color if I look at this one, but we'll fix it now. Now let this dry, go grab some tea, and we'll carry on. I want to do something on the edge of this heart. I'm going to use my black archival ink pad and just rub it over the edge of this heart. I don't necessarily want to completely distress it. I just want to do a color contrast. When we glue it down, the heart is not so, it gets dimension. This heart must go on the other side. Okay. I'm just going to glue this as well. I was now thinking while having tea, what will I do to make this heart and this star more interesting? So I've decided I'm going to use white embossing powder with that same stamp. I'm going to use clear embossing ink, and I'm going to put on white powder and heat treat it. That looks nice. And that looks nice. There's not much left of what I can show you. I'm just going to make these doors a little bit nicer. Then I'm going to start decorating the houses with wording and tacky dots that's shiny, and maybe use some brads to add the words. But from here on, it's just your own initiative. I'm going to finish the houses, and then I'll take close-up photos for you to see what I've done. But from here on, you must create your own flow and decorate your houses as you please. I'm going to use my paintbrush to add some white gesso to the inside panes of this door. That's my secret door, the one that opens up onto the whole new craft space. And this church door, we do the same, just lightly. I wonder if I mustn't gesso outside, because I love the pattern. Let's add the gesso on the outside of this door to make it stand out. I'm going to use the cutouts that I've saved, the bottom parts of every page that I've cut. Those wordings are going to go onto the house, and then I'll look through the pack because there's some other nice words that I'm going to add. So I'm going to do that, and I'll take close-up photos. It has taken me another half an hour of sitting here, being in the flow, decorating my little houses, turning them, turning and checking, marking, adding, covering up again. But I think at this stage I'm happy with what I've got. I'm gonna stop the video now, and then I'm gonna take some close-up pictures for you for the file to download. And then thank you for watching. Enjoy this product, and if you at any stage you felt, yes, see, I can do that better, that's a good sign. It means you got challenged. Take up the challenge, make some houses, and send us some pictures. See you next time.